So on behalf of board staff, I just wanted to congratulate Mr. Franco on his appointment as interim chair. Staff look forward to working with you in support of priorities. And I also want to recognize this leadership transition and acknowledge Mr. Dwayne Sampson's time in the role.
And the voice people in custody, but actually the voice of those who actually. I really want to acknowledge the work of Wayne Sansom. Um, an amount of effort has been put here the last few years. Wayne, thank you for everything that you have done. Um, and I want to acknowledge a lot of his initiative and actually open the floor if even other board member wants to acknowledge the hard work. Chair Sampson.
Is this on? Is it? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Vice Chair Skipper. I would like to congratulate Felipe Franco, on his promotion to interim chair, and I look forward to working with you, sir. I would also like to extend my gratitude to former board chair Sampson. I've been his vice chair for almost 2 years now. And I want to commend him on his dedication to the people of New York and this mission. As vice chair, I look forward to working with Mr. Franco, and I also want to welcome the new board member who has not shown up as of yet, but I want to welcome him. And I want to welcome the DOC commissioner. Welcome, Commissioner Richards.
Have something to say. I just want to congratulate you on your new appointment. I also wanted to say that as the New York City Board of Correction welcomes new leadership, I want to take a moment to acknowledge and thank our outgoing chair for his service and steady guidance. From the very beginning of my tenure on the board, he was exceptionally generous with his time, insight, and institutional knowledge, and he played an instrumental role in my making the transition onto the board. He made it a smooth one, and his leadership, professionalism, and commitment to the work have left a meaningful impact on both the board and myself. I am deeply appreciative of his support and partnership, and I wish him the best. And I also look forward to working with Mr. Franco.
Thank you.
I'd also like to welcome the commissioner.
Also offer him condolences, because we, I think, know how difficult a job it is to actually chair the board. But we know that he will be up to the task. And as far as the outgoing chair, the former chair, Sampson, once again, I think that we owe a debt of gratitude for the years of dedication that he rendered to the board for some difficult periods and periods of transition as well.
Thank you, everyone. Our first order of business is to vote on the agenda for today. Will any board member move for vote to approve the agenda of May 12, 2026?
So moved.
Will anyone second the motion?
Second.
Any edits, comments? Okay. All in favor of approving the May 12th agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Our second order of business is to draft the minutes for March 10, 2026, which more board members have received. Will a board member move for a vote to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Does anybody, board members, have edits or comments on the minutes? All in favor of approving the March 10, 2026 board minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Before we proceed to public comments, I wonder if the commissioner has some words for us, the board, and our audience?
Thank you, Chair Franco, and congratulations on your position. As a former Board of Correction member, I know how challenging your job can be. And just want to thank you all for your dedication and your service to working in collaboration with the Department of Correction to ensure the safety of the people in our care and the safety of our staff. Thank you. Well, I've been a member of the board. I am here today for the first time as the Commissioner of the New York City Department of Correction. I am grateful to Mayor Mamdani for this historic opportunity and to the board for this opportunity to speak to you today. I come before you with humility, urgency, and a clear understanding that we have significant work ahead of us. As I often say, this is a transformative moment. It's a cruise ship moment, not a speedboat moment. My leadership philosophy is grounded in one simple principle: people first. That means the people who work in the department, in our facilities, uniform and non-uniform staff. It means people in our care, and I use care very strategically because I believe that the people who are sent to us, it is our responsibility to provide the care while they are with us. Many of whom who come to us with mental illness, substance use challenges, trauma, and a host of complex needs. It also means families, attorneys, service providers, and the communities who are connected to everyone who passed through our doors. As I said before, this is a transformative moment. Transforming the system will take time, discipline, consistency, and partnership. But it also requires urgency because the stakes are high every single day. With this in mind, I have spent my first few months doing something very important: listening and learning. But don't mistake that for idleness. For me and my leadership team, we have been busy getting to work. Yesterday marked my 100th day in this role, and would like to highlight some of what we accomplished at this time. My mission rests first on safe and humane jails. Safety is the foundation for everything else. Without safety, programming cannot happen, programming can't function, services cannot be delivered, staff cannot do their jobs effectively, and people in our care cannot meaningfully engage in the work of returning home stronger than when they entered. To achieve this, I have been focusing on correctional basics, Correction 101. That means the housing areas that are properly supervised, doors are being locked, and required tours are being completed. It means people in our care receiving constant access to services, recreation, medical care, and programming. It means concerns that rise above the facility level are being elevated and addressed appropriately, transparently, and in a timely manner. It means policies being understood, communicated, and carried out effectively. Those basics matter. They are not small things. They are the foundation for safe jail. Many of the board's recommendations related to preventing deaths in the custody are at the core about strengthening basic correctional practices, communication, supervision, observation, documentation, responsiveness, and accountability. This is where our focus must be in order to create safe jails, close Rikers, and build the borough-based jails. Second, we must support and rebuild our workforce. DOC is not operating with excess staff. We have 7,200 lines, but the reality of it is we have 5,600 officers. Over 500 are out on sick or indefinite sick. Over 140 are on medically modified duty, which means they are working, but they can't work with the people in our care. With the population at 6,700, 50% of those folks in our care have a BRAD H diagnosis. 84% of the women in our care have BRAD H diagnosis. And we are asking correction officers to serve as social workers and clinicians when they're not. We are right now focusing on recruitment. Recruitment and retention are central priorities for my administration. During my first 100 days, I've had the honor of graduating one of the largest classes over the many, many years of 261 correction officers and welcome them into our ranks. This is an important step toward rebuilding the workforce and preparing this department for the future. We also concluded National Correction Officers and Employees Week. That week was not only about appreciation, it was about the recognition of the difficult, essential, and often invisible work our staff perform. One of the things I said when I first started this job was that the notion of winners and losers, the notion that there are enemies and friends, is over. In order for us to move this department forward, to ensure the people in our care are safe, to ensure and guarantee for our members of services that their family members, when they walk out the door, they can reasonably expect them to come home and not get the call that they're at Elmhurst Hospital because they were assaulted. The days of demonization and isolation and looking for winners and losers in this fight is over. We need to work together. We need to see the value of each other. We need to see our shared humanity, because a rising tide lifts all boats. In this moment, in this administration, we are going to be a rising tide to ensure the safety of our members and to ensure the safety of those who will come into our care. Finally, we must prepare the department for the future. Over the last 100 days, we've taken meaningful steps in that direction. We opened the city's first outposted therapeutic housing beds at Bellevue, a 104-bed unit for people in custody with complex medical needs. That facility represents a different model of correctional care, one grounded in dignity and clinical support and access to specialized health care. We also marked the topping off of the Brooklyn Borough-based jail, an important milestone in the city's plan to close Rikers Island and move toward facilities that are closer to the courts, families, attorneys, services, and communities. These milestones matter, but I want to be clear. Buildings alone will not transform the system. New facilities are important, but culture, practice, supervision, accountability, and partnership are what determine whether we all succeed. The work ahead is difficult. We continue to face real challenges relating to population, staffing, infrastructure, safety, and service delivery. I will not pretend otherwise, but I also believe progress is possible when we are honest about the problems, disciplined in our approach, and committed to working together to put people first. I look forward to working with the board in that spirit and always look to partner with you to ensure at the end of the day, we have a jail system that is centered on the humanity of those who work there and those who come into contact. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. I look forward to the ongoing conversations and the partnership to ensure that this department operates with integrity, with clarity, with transparency, and with accountability. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Looking forward to working together. Now we're going to hear the recorded anonymous public comments from people in custody.
Closed captioning is provided for viewer convenience. However, the accuracy of machine-generated captions may vary based on audio quality and speaker cadence. The Board of Correction does not guarantee the accuracy or completeness of the captions. To ensure the safety and protection of individuals using the person in custody comment line, names and PIC ID numbers have been withheld.
Hi, my booking case number is again my I'm an inmate incarcerated on Rikers Island. I'm at the EMTC, the Eric M. Taylor Center facility, in housing unit 11 upper. I'm calling to make a complaint regarding the grievance procedures at this facility. Whenever you place a grievance in the padlock box, it takes about 2 to 3 months to receive a response. And the staff at this facility takes a very, very long time to get the complaints, the written complaints out of those locked boxes to address inmate concerns, including grievances that I made myself. Yesterday, which was on Thursday, March the 5th, I spoke to Correction Officer She's one of the assistants that helps address inmate grievances. And the grievance office is located right next to the housing unit that I'm in 11 Upper. So when I seen her yesterday, I told her about the situation, and I told her that's the reason why sometimes I make written grievances and I slide it under the gate, because the grievance office is right next to the housing unit that I'm in. So it makes it quicker and easier for my grievance to be processed, because if I put it in a padlock box, that affects me from going through the appeal process if needed, because, you know, there's a time restriction and they take a very long time to respond to grievances when it's put in the padlock box. But correction officer, she kept telling me not to put it under the gate, to put it through the padlock box. And I told her that, you know, it causes a lot of difficulty. So I told correction officer that's the main reason why I put it under the gate, because the housing unit that I'm in, 11 Upper, is right next to the grievance office. So it makes it easier for them to get the complaint and process it. So if
the caller has hung up.
How you doing? My name is
would like to give a thanks to the entire BOC for always assisting us, especially Young Glover. You guys are so great at what you do. And today's comment, I would like to let it be known, after speaking to hundreds of detainees just like me, we all have a common issue with the mailing process here. Every person I ever spoke to about their mail always comes up missing. Whether we're sending it out, whether we see mail, we are always missing mail. And technically, that would be a federal issue if we were at home stealing mail. I don't understand why those rules don't apply to the CEOs that are making our mail disappear here. Like, why doesn't the rules apply to them? So please, if there's anybody that could look into the mailing issues that Rikers Island us detainees at Rikers Island are experiencing, I believe you will crack open a can of worms to something very big going on. But besides that, once again, thank you to everyone that's assisted us. Have a good day.
The caller has hung up.
Good morning. My booking case number is, I'm currently housed at Rose M. Singer Center, building number 7. So the reason for this testimony is the ongoing retaliation due to complaints and concerns that are here at Rose M. Singer Center. So as you know, I was moved out of Building 5 and housed into 5 South A due to black mold. When we returned, they put us in building number 6. Building number 6 was then shut down, and we were moved back to 5 South A. I was moved back to 5 South A due to black mold in building number 6. They moved us back into building number 6 a week later after a paid job, 7 days. And now I'm currently in building number 7 where same situation. Because of my complaints and because of my concerns concerning the black mold, I was searched twice. I was labeled a red ID. My mail from the federal litigation division has been censored. My classification has been raised for no reason, without notification. I'm also missing hospital appointments, doctor's appointments, and unable to get medical results when it comes to my ongoing upper respiratory issues due to the black mold. I'm not sure what to say or what the outcome will be for this testimony, but I know that a lot of women are in danger here at Rose M. Singer Center. Yes, I do have complaints in, but unfortunately I'm unable to get mail in return. I'm currently on 2 inhalers, cortisone, sinus medicine, and nothing has changed. Building 5, 6, and 7 have connected ventilation systems. There's absolutely nothing being done about the ventilation system. All we do is paying over. So because of these complaints, or because of these testimonies, I've had loss of mail. I'm still in segregated confinement because there's no programs. I've had visits denied. I've had visits terminated. And inside of the visiting area, you're strip searched before and after your visit on camera. I am very concerned, a lot concerned about what's taking place here at Rose M. Singer Center. And these testimonies, I make them in hopes of getting help or shining light on.
The caller has hung up.
Hello, I'm actually requesting a tablet. I've been here 90 days, and I'm in GRVC 13B. So, yes, booking a case number I'm being held in OBCC, and I'm being denied medical care. I have both of my kidneys, retinal failure, the left kidney and the right kidney. Both kidneys are failing. I know they're failing because this happened before, and I was hospitalized for 14 days. And I got pain in both my left and right kidney, and I need to be seen by a doctor, and I need blood work done.
The caller has hung up.
Yes, how you doing? My name is, and my booking case number is, and I'm calling regarding for my stuff that didn't come with me when I got moved from GRVC back to the west. You know, they moved me with only my dirty clothes, all my stuff over there. You know, for my prayer rug. You know, I follow Islam. So the officer that packed me, his name, you know, he didn't pack my stuff. He left my food over there, my toothbrushes, my glasses. One of my glasses is bent, the other one's broke. He didn't pack my coffee, my bowls over there, my books, my food, my hygiene, two pair of slippers. So basically, he packed me with just my dirty clothes. Everything is over there.
The caller has hung up.
Thank you. Commissioner Richards, I don't remember exactly when was it that we began as a Board of Correction kind of capturing the voice of people in custody. And I think you do. When was it? Sick. So that was a great development. And one area that I think I brought to corrections before, and I'm hoping you and I can work on, it would be like if we could make these hearings available to people in custody at Rikers and to the staff. I think we as the board could even, kind of provide agendas beforehand. I have no expectations that a lot of people are going to want to watch us on TV, but I think it would be important for them to know that we are talking their business and for them to be informed about our work.
We should talk about how we might be able to do that. I can tell you, trying to have the meeting on Allen would be a major challenge. As you know, this is governed by the public law, and access to the Allen would not be public, and therefore would be. But we should talk.
It could be video.
Yep, absolutely. With the technology we have, we could talk about how we make that happen.
Thank you. So I'm going to pass it to the Executive Director.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for that. We share our deepest condolences with the families of department staff who have passed since the board's March meeting. The staff who have passed are retired Captain Lois Springle, retired Captain Robert Howard, retired Captain Robert Padula, retired Captain Sharon Jones, retired Officer Pedro Hernandez, retired Officer Genia Perkins, retired Officer Gloria Canella, retired Officer John Andrade, retired Captain Alvin Malloy, retired Officer Antoinette Campbell, retired Officer Sonia McDougall, retired Officer Lawrence Anthony Daly, retired Officer Joseph Trapani Jr., retired Officer Catrice Montgomery, retired Officer Alan L. Blake, and retired Captain John Popka. There were also 2 deaths in custody since our last board meeting. We extend our deepest condolences to the families and loved ones of Barry Cozart and John Price. Barry Cozart, age 39, died on March 25, 2026. Mr. Cozart was found unresponsive in his assigned cell in GRVC and was subsequently pronounced deceased at the scene. John Price died on March 29, 2026 at the age of 49. On March 28th, Mr. Price was transported from EMTC to Elmhurst Hospital following a medical examination. Mr. Price passed away while in the hospital on March 29th. We await determinations from OCME on Mr. Kozar and Mr. Price's causes of death. Regarding census data, as of May 11, 2026, there were approximately 6,706 individuals in department custody. Broken down by facility, as of May 11th, in Bellevue Hospital Prison Ward, there were 66 individuals. Bellevue Hospital Therapeutic Unit, 61 individuals. Elmhurst Hospital Prison Ward, 9 individuals. EMTC, 1,444. GRVC, 903. NIC, 51. OBCC, 1,478. RESH ESH, 123. And RESH non-ESH, 505. RMSC, 429. RNDC, 1,004. West Facility, 632. And compared with our last meeting in March, that was a 1.34 decline in the population. And throughout the month of April, BOC 7 monitors conducted a total of 508 tours across 194 open areas. BOC received 309 complaints in April. The largest share came from OBCC with 25.88% and RMSC with 17.47%, followed by RNDC at about 17%, GRVC at about 15%, and EMTC at about 11%. The most common issues raised involved medical health care at 14.88%, visit appeals at 7.11%, and telephone at 4.53%. Most complaints were made by people in custody, relatives and friends, or outside agencies who refer complaints to the board. Complaints were submitted by phone, with others coming through in-person interviews conducted by BOC staff, mail or email, and voicemail. Regarding reports, on May 1st, 2026, the board released a report concerning the deaths of Edwin Ramos, Aramis First, and Kyron Randall, who died in DOC custody in November and December 2025. With the aim of improving conditions for individuals who live and work on Rikers Island, the board assessed the circumstances of each death to determine if correctional policy was followed or whether there are areas where policies do not exist. The board's report highlights 11 key findings and makes 13 recommendations to DOC and CHS regarding their policies and practices. Some of the findings and recommendations touch on post-abandonment, lack of touring by uniformed staff, unsecured cell doors, lack of continuous monitoring by emergency response staff, and use of contraband. The full report is available on the board's website. Also in April 2026, the board's monitoring team shared findings and recommendations from its review of the department's Ramadan accommodations conducted across DOC facilities between February 18th to March 19th, 2026. Overall, facilities provided consistent access to congregational prayer, evening meals, and sahur bags, and monitors did not identify any systematic breakdowns in operations. However, monitors did identify several recurring operational issues across facilities, including staffing shortages that affected escort timeliness, meals arriving too early and becoming cold, inconsistent meal distribution for people in custody who did not attend congregational prayer, and inaccuracies in Ramadan participation lists that at times limited access to services. Facility leadership was generally responsive in addressing concerns as they arose and conditions improved where issues had been identified. The monitoring team recommended continued attention to staffing coverage, consistent meal distribution, food handling, and halal compliance, and maintaining accurate Ramadan participation lists to ensure equitable access to services across all facilities. And before we move on, I just wanted to take a moment to share with you all that this will be my last Board of Correction meeting. It has truly been an honor to serve as the board's executive director and previously as general counsel over the past 4 years. I want to thank and commend the board staff for their professionalism, dedication, and tireless work in support of the board's mission every single day. I also want to thank the members of the board for their commitment to this work and to the people impacted by the city's correctional system. The board's mandate and mission are critically important. Independent oversight, transparency, and accountability are essential to ensuring safety, dignity, and humane conditions within the city's jails. It has been a privilege to contribute to that work alongside all of you. While I may be moving on from this role, I look forward to continuing to serve the people of the City of New York in the next chapter of my public service. Thank you.
Jasmine, I think I speak for all members of the board. We'd like to thank you for your dedication. Thank you for being you, and thank you for saying yes.
I'm sure every other folks want to say, but thank you, Jasmine. I've seen you deal with very, very difficult circumstances in an extremely professional way. There is always at the end keeping us in mind as stewards of life and well-being of people in our facilities. And I've seen you do that through the pandemic. I've seen you do that through motherhood. I've seen you do that through a lot of different things. And thank you for your hard work and dedication.
Also, just wanted to share my gratitude to you, Jasmine, for your hard work and your support, especially for me. And I wish you the best in all your endeavors.
I also just wanted to say a few words thanking Jasmine for your exceptional service over the last 4 years, both as first general counsel and then executive director. Jasmine has tirelessly fought to strengthen the board's authority and oversight, reinforce our charter mandate, and advocate for increased funding. She successfully led the charge in restoring the agency's access to departmental camera footage, one of our most vital oversight tools. Her focus has always been on improving conditions for those who work and live on Rikers Island through increased public reporting, meaningful recommendations, targeted audits, and bringing concerns about the state of the jails to light at these public meetings to ensure transparency. She is beloved by board staff for her commitment to supporting their well-being through her compassionate and steadfast leadership. And on a personal note, Jasmine was instrumental in helping me transition to my role as a board member. She taught me about policies and protocol, the board's history, how to use the tools at my disposal to be an effective advocate. She is brilliant and warm and hardworking, and she will be sorely missed by staff and board members alike. So we wish you really the best in your next chapter. Thank you for everything. And I didn't speak before, but I also wanted to congratulate Chair and thank former Chair Sampson for his service.
Okay, so now we will hear updates from the department on the agenda items, followed by a joint update from the Correctional Health Services and Outposted Therapeutic Units. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you again. My comments will be short, but let me start off by saying I express my condolences to the families, loved ones, and community members of anybody who lost their life while in our care. I take this work personally. I know firsthand what it means to be separated from your family, to be in a place where you feel all alone, and to lose a loved one is unmanageable. So our condolences go out to the family members. Second, this moment is a moment where we are not in opposition. The recommendations that you laid out is exactly what I talked about in my opening comments about safety. It's going back to correctional practices one-on-one. And I have built out a leadership team by naming the chief of department and bureau chiefs, by bringing in an executive team that understand that our North Star is not all of the wins and shifts of this moment, but it's the steady focus on what it takes to make sure that people are safe. And when people come into our care, we use that moment to help them build the foundation to launch a new life. So we are in agreement on those recommendations, and you'll be hearing from us officially in the next couple of weeks about how we're doing that. But we are going back to basics, making sure that rounds are happening, making sure that doors are locked. We're making sure that we have cell doors that lock, because right now we don't. But we are going to set that as a priority to ensure that our officers have the tools to make sure that those doors are locked. We're going back to basics. We're going back to basic oversight and supervision, to use moments that are not critical as teachable moments for our officers, to create in the department a learning atmosphere, an atmosphere of growth and accountability and shared responsibility for the people who come into our care and the members of service who stand at our side. And so you'll be hearing more officially from us, but let me just say that we are in alignment on those recommendations, and we'll be implementing them as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, and I'm sure others may have questions. In your opening remarks, you talked a lot about the importance of working together, the importance of actually needing more staff, the importance of doing the basics. And then you mentioned, the challenging population that sometimes, finish up in our jails. But could you also talk more about their potential? I mean, like, you do have a lot of amazing people in those institutions. And I think we have a recent report that had to do more with one of the units that are done by peers. But if you could talk in general about how some programs that actually have kind of wane away, programs that actually have to do with, inmates playing a role in apprenticeship or kind of being part of the solution. And again, if you don't, I mean, as you develop your plans, please keep that in mind.
Yeah, no, thank you for that question. I mean, as you know, 14 million of the 17 million that was cut has been reinstated, and so those programs are coming back on. What we have learned in our short time is that the department has been operating with so many push and pulls without adequate resources on the staffing side to critically assess what's working, what's not, and how do we sustain it. And so over decades, what we've done is built out what Meg and I call one-off programs. So we build a program here, we build a program here, and if leadership changes, those programs changes. Prime example, when I was here in 2021, we were building out a youth-focused program. As soon as we left, elements of it stayed, but the overall concept of it didn't. What we're going to do in this administration is build a foundation of operating principles that will transcend any administration. So when I'm long gone, the way the department operates in the borough-based jails will be operationalized, not segmented by a particular program. So yes, we have really good stuff happening with CDL, with MOC-J, and other initiatives. We have Fortune and Osborne coming back in, PD Green, WPA, all those organizations coming back in doing great work. But what we want to create is a system of engaging people when they come into our care thinking strategically about data, because we have a lot of data that shows who's coming in, who's cycling in and out, and what intervention they need versus those who may have one or two touch points. So when I say this is like a cruise ship moment, there's a lot of good stuff happening, but we want to really build out a system that when Meg and I are gone and after Mayor Mamdani's 2 terms, the next mayor, yeah, right, the next mayor or the next commissioner won't be able to unplug and plug. The next mayor, the next commissioner will have a system that is centered on the dignity and humanity of everybody who in our care and our members. And we have a way of connecting people to services. So good stuff is happening, but we need to build out a system to ensure its continuation.
Commissioner, thank you for everything that you've said. I really appreciate that what you're talking about is a culture change, and you have your work cut out for you. I know this is not going to be easy. I think over time have really seen such sort of flagrant disregard for rules and regulations at Rikers, both on the part of officers and individuals in custody. And I know you and I had spoken before about how, punishment is not the only solution for that, may not be the most effective solution. And I'm just curious to hear, maybe not today, but in the future, about plans to improve that sense of sort of ownership and accountability over the culture on the island from the people who are living there and working there every day, and hearing more about how incentives and privileges can be part of that structure that you talked about to try to improve some of these things that I think are highlighted in our recommendations in the DEF report.
Yes. Thank you for raising that. When we talked, and this is something I said to the department when I first came in, and something I've learned all my life. I've been in jail multiple times, and it's like, you can't punish your way into compliance. You just can't. You can't do it for our officers, and you can't do it for people in care. You have to give people something to hold on to believe that by showing up in a way that is consistent with the values, consistent with safety, that is what they hold on to. And so part of what we're building out, and we don't define it as culture change, because I think when you describe something as culture change, it sort of, just by its nature, says something is wrong. And I think the department has been operating with the constraints and the realities of what they believe to be real. What we are doing is preparing the department for the future. And that is creating what I call everyone starts with an A. There are teachable moments for our officers outside of the accountability and punishment. And there are teachable moments and hope for the people in our care, so that the desire to engage in that behavior is reduced. And I'll give you a quick story. About a month ago, I went to Pastor Tim's Fatherless No More group. And Pastor Tim is a former NFL championship player, and he brings in NFL players, and he runs this group called Fatherless No More. And I had the honor of participating in that group. And when the young men came down, they all introduced themselves. And this one young man was describing why he comes to that group. And he gave his real life experience. He said, last night, my set, he said, first of all, we're all in different sets. If we were in the house in there, we would not be sitting in this group together. He said, but last night, my set was about to get into something. And I had a choice to get involved or not. And I decided not to get involved because I knew Pastor Tim was coming today and that we were going to meet for this week. And it was more important for me to be in this room with my brothers and Pastor Tim than it was to be involved in fights. That's what holding on to hope looks like. And that's the moment we're in. That's what we could build together. And that's the foundation that we are trying to build. Because when we build that, our officers can go home and feel safe when they come to work, and their families can feel confident knowing that their loved ones are going to come home, and that the job that they're doing is valued by the commissioner, by the city of New York, by the Board of Correction, and by community members. That's the future of this department.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you and the department want to update us on the family attorney visits?
Yes, I'm going to ask our GC to come up. I've heard on the attorney visits, ED's coming up. I've heard from defense attorneys that our new visit scheduler is working fabulously. So I'm really, really proud of that initiative. And we reconstituted our visiting work group, which I'm really proud of. But I'll let my colleague talk more about it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Tamia Brown, and I'm the first ever Executive Director of Visit Operations for the New York City Department of Correction. First, I would like to thank the department's executive leadership, Commissioner Richards and First Deputy Commissioner Egan. Thank you. A distinct thank you to Deputy Commissioner James Boyd, Associate Commissioner Allison Pace, and Assistant Commissioner Kyle Archie for providing a warm welcome and smooth onboarding process. Thank you all. Your guidance is invaluable as we embark on this important work together. I would also like to acknowledge the advocates and families of the people in our care. Your dedication and commitment is crucial to our mission, and I thank you for being here today. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today and formally introduce myself in this role. While I am new to this role, I am not new to the department or new to this work. I bring with me a professional background rooted in social services, child welfare, community supervision, and operational management. I'm a proud social worker. And throughout my career, I have remained committed to supporting vulnerable populations, strengthening families and community connections, and advancing systems that promote stability, accountability, and dignity. The Executive Director of Visit Operations is a new position within the department. It was created in recognition of the central role that visits play in supporting an individual's well-being and their sense of hope and connectedness while in our care, as well as their success upon discharge to the community. Given this is a new position, there's a lot to learn and a lot of exciting work ahead. Since assuming this role in January, my priority has been to strengthen the department's visit operations through improvements focused on efficiency, accessibility, and the overall visitor experience. It's important to me that improvements are thoughtful, data-driven, and sustainable. And that means I'm taking my time to observe, to listen, and to reflect. I've spent time talking to people in our care, to our staff, to visitors, and to our community partners about their experiences and their suggestions for a better process. I'm grateful that many meaningful initiatives had already been completed or were well underway when I started. For example, Central Visits has undergone a comprehensive reconstruction. This includes installation of benches, awnings to provide protection from the elements, a full repainting of the interior, digital lockers, institutional signage, and the installation of child-friendly visit spaces. Excuse me. Child-friendly visit spaces in partnership with the Children's Museum of Manhattan. Additionally, child-friendly visiting areas have also been established at GRVC, OBCC, RMSC, with the long-term goal of installing these hubs in all facilities. These improvements are more than cosmetic. They are intended to foster a more supportive and welcoming environment for children and families visiting with a loved one in our care. Additionally, I am proud to share that the department has seen a sustained decrease in visit waiting times. The time it takes to complete the visit process, inclusive of a 1-hour visit with an individual in our care, has declined by approximately 20 minutes, from just over 4 hours to under 3 hours and 45 minutes between April 2025 and April 2026. We will continue to refine our practices to further reduce wait times as much as possible and look forward to the implementation of a visit scheduling system next year. As we shared during the last meeting, the department is piloting a scheduling system for legal visits. The pilot launched on April 13th, and so far has received very positive feedback. We will continue to monitor and refine the process in the coming weeks and months. We welcome any feedback from the board and our community partners. Finally, I'm excited to share that the department has reconvened the Visit Working Group. We held our first meeting on May 1st, where I had the opportunity to introduce myself to our community partners and solicit feedback for areas to focus on in the future. The visiting working group members were able to tour the Central Visit area and see some of the improvements to the space firsthand. We are looking forward to more productive meetings in the future. My work has just begun. I'm committed to strengthening visit operations across the department to ensure we stay true to our commitment of putting people first. This includes continuing to improve consistency between facilities, enhancing communication and transparency for visitors, and identifying additional opportunities to support meaningful family engagement while maintaining the safety and security of our jails. My goal is simple: to make sure that the visit experience is a positive one, for everyone involved. I look forward to working collectively with the board and to our partners across the city as we continue these efforts. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask, because I know the board was involved in the visit working group previously, so we would love to be a part of and invited to any future meetings, just so we can, input what the minimum standards are and just be a partner in that whole experience and the modernization of the visiting scheduling system.
Thank you. We'll follow up with the board about the next meeting date.
Thank you.
Sure.
I have a question. Thank you so much for the child-friendly visiting spaces. Very solely, very much needed. Is these plans revolving forward to also redo the visiting spaces at the borough-based jails and make them as child-friendly as possible?
Thank you for your question. Yes, we have in mind to prepare child-friendly spaces across the island and off island to our borough-based jail systems as well. So for every facility, we are in the process of ensuring that we have child-friendly spaces.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Ms. Brown. And
welcome.
I've been hearing from public defenders that the wait times are so much shorter, that
Great.
somebody, walked in and at exactly the time their visit was supposed to start, they were welcomed in, their client was produced to them. So really congratulations to you on how that pilot is going so far. We received a couple of requests from some of the public defender agencies, one of which was to have an option for a 30-minute visit in the online scheduling system. So just wanted to pass that along for your consideration. And the other was a request to allow sign up more than 48 hours in advance, similar to the way it works for video conferencing. I think, to allow planning, further ahead. So just wanted to pass those along for your consideration.
Thank you. I'll be sure to look into it.
Thank you. And thank you for your work. I'm sure, I kind of heard that you have a lot of metrics that you're kind of following and numbers. I heard that you're really focusing on the hours, so it would be good to see what was the baseline and how many more hours are available now, if that's actually a change. Thank you for improving conditions and making spaces beautiful and getting people to meet quickly. And in the future, we would be great to hear more about our ability to do visiting through video and the relationship with the library. We haven't heard any updates about that in a while. But thank you for doing this amazing work.
Thank you. We'll be sure to provide those updates to the board. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. So it's the time to talk about our heat mitigation plan.
Good afternoon, board members, and congratulations, Chair. My name is Robert Van Pelt. I'm the Assistant Commissioner of Preparedness and Resiliency at the New York City Department of Correction. I'm new to the agency, and this is my first time before the board, so it's very nice to meet you all in person. I've seen you all on the videos, so it's really great to be here. Before going through the heat plan, I want to tell you a little bit about my background and also about my position here at Department of Corrections. I bring to this role more than 2 decades of service to the city of New York, with extensive expertise in human services, legal matters, intergovernmental affairs, and emergency management. I most recently came from the Office of Chief Medical Examiner, where I was the Chief of Staff, and I'm an attorney. I was also acting general counsel for a time. And while there, I oversaw, during COVID-19, all citywide logistics for the emergency pandemic and mass fatality event. And that includes PPE for all 5 boroughs. That includes supplies, messaging to people and to families. And I'd like to think that our efforts there helped families get closure and buried loved ones with dignity during very difficult times. I spent many years at the Department of New York City Emergency Management. And while there, I oversaw building the Human Services Emergency Sheltering System. And then I had the opportunity to oversee that system during Hurricane Sandy. That included sheltering and feeding and caring for 7,000 New Yorkers in 35 shelters across the 5 boroughs. And then afterwards, I coordinated with the Department of Health and others to help support residents in their homes, people who didn't evacuate, who needed food and health care, and maybe needed to evacuate to a safer place. Also, I was in charge of emergency planning for Department of Health. So I have a big background in emergency management. I'm extremely excited to be starting this role at the Department of Correction, where I'm going to be supporting staff, supporting people in our care. The purpose of my unit will be to coordinate all the many subject matter experts and professionals around the agency to make sure that preparedness initiatives are all aligned and that we can execute all very well. The biggest role of my unit is also to make sure that first and foremost, people are safe. Now, regarding our heat plan, as we prepare for the summer months, the department continues its efforts to ensure that both staff and individuals in our care can stay cool and remain safe and healthy within our facilities. In accordance with our department policy, we prioritize people who are clinically designated as heat sensitive by CHS, that they are placed in air conditioning housing. Today, nearly 80% of all our housing units are air conditioned, and the majority of all people in our care are housed in air conditioned units. Due to the aging infrastructure of the buildings on Rikers Island, not all housing areas are air conditioned, or is it at the moment, and it does definitely present an impediment. However, our facility staff continues to innovate new ways to build more capacity. DOC during the summer months conducts daily temperature monitoring, and reports are submitted to the Assistant Commissioner of Environmental Health Unit and Facility Leadership, including wardens and tour commanders at all facilities. In the summer months, DOC increases monitoring and tracking of heat-related complaints to ensure emerging issues are identified quickly and addressed quickly. In air-conditioned areas, if temperatures exceed 80 degrees, the department begins 2-hour monitoring, initiates repairs, and will relocate people in our care if needed. In non-air conditioned areas, 2 fans are provided for each housing area. Ice is distributed between 12 p.m. and 4 p.m. And when outdoor temperatures exceed 80%, all of this goes into effect. Additionally, there are unlimited shower access, and we encourage people to use cold showers and rest periods to help everyone keep cool. To help people in our care stay comfortable, we provide uniforms with shorts and t-shirts. And next week, our storehouse will survey facilities for their fan needs and will deliver additional fans to meet any deficiencies. Facilities can also always request extra ice Cambros if needed. Per usual, we will communicate our hot weather protocol to all staff through all internal communication channels. We'll also inform individuals in our care about the steps they can take to stay cool and avoid heat-related illnesses. And we do this through posting posters, through flyers, through messaging directly to tablets. And now we have the capability also to send automated voice messaging. We also utilize the sick call triage line in partnership with CHS. The department's hot weather protocol outlining these policies and practices was posted on our public website last week to ensure transparent public access to these plans. Once again, I'm pleased to meet you all. Thank you very much, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you. Have questions? Thank you. I have several questions.
Sure.
I guess the biggest question is, what is the actual clinic designation for heat sensitivity? Like, what qualifies a person in custody to?
Thank you. Thank you for your question. So that's not a medical diagnosis, heat sensitive. Being heat sensitive means that someone has an underlying diagnosis that makes them susceptible to heat-related illness.
Oh, what are they?
Oh, I'm not a doctor, and
okay. I'll ask.
When people in our care come into our care, they're assessed by a doctor, and then based on that background, they would be assigned as heat sensitive or not.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll ask CHS. What are the plans for distribution of the shorts and t-shirts And when will this distribution occur?
So shorts and t-shirts are already in many of the facilities. And the third week in May is when these shorts and t-shirts go from our storehouse to all of our facilities. And then everything goes into effect by June 1st. That's when our heat plan is in effect.
Thank you. And I wanted to ask you about the air conditions.
Sure.
I mean, not the air conditioners. We don't have air conditions like that. About the fans. I know you said that there is 250 in the warehouse, but how many units are actually operable in the housing areas versus inoperable, and how will they be switched out? Or
how many fans are operable versus inoperable? Every fan by the start of summer, every unit will have operable fans. So each one has 2 industrial fans. They all will be operable. What happens is in the third week in May, the storehouse will conduct a survey of all the facilities based on the fans that were delivered last year. If any are not working, they replace them.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for the question.
One issue that tends to come up during the summer, I mean, first of all, it gets really hot. It could be stifled if you stay in the units. And even if you want to go outdoors, there's a problem with shade. Like, you know, we don't have a lot of shade in some of the outdoor spaces. Could you guys look into it? I mean, I could imagine like some sort of a very basic ways of providing shade. I mean, it becomes a issue for a lot of people in the country, or not wanting to go out, but having to stifle inside because there's really outside, there's no real opportunity.
Yes.
I remember the horticulture program was one of those places you could hide into and get a little bit of shade, but please look into that.
Yes, thank you for the question. Yes, as you know, outdoor recreation continues throughout the summer, and beverages and ice is provided to people outdoors. I'll take that back, and I'll look into it internally.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Any further questions? All right, thank you very much for your time.
Now we're talking about the future. Update on the borough-based jails.
Thank you for putting this on the agenda. I'm going to have my colleague talk about it. But this administration is moving on the borough-based jails. We understand the 2027 deadline. That is not our focus. Our focus is on ensuring that we could build these borough-based jails as swiftly as we can, balanced with design principles that really center the borough-based jails on the humanity of those who are going to be in our care and in our staff. So right now, we are working really closely with DDC, having weekly meetings to make sure that we're expediting and finalizing design, so the design can go into its final phase and bid on, get the construction going. We topped off recently on Brooklyn, and so now we're doing the interior on Brooklyn. But there is a commitment from the Mayor Mamdani, and I have the charge of making sure that the borough-based jails are actualized as quick as possible. But I'll have my colleague talk more specifically about it.
Thank you, Commissioner Richards, and thank you, Board, for having me here today. My name is Alex Maldonado, and as you know, I'm the Assistant Commissioner overseeing the Borough-based Jail Project on behalf of the department. I believe there was a specific question regarding the outdoor recreation spaces. And as you guys know, every single housing area in the borough-based jail facilities has direct access to an outdoor recreation space. And we've been working with our friends at DDC and the design build teams to develop a mesh system at the outdoor recreation areas that provides ample access to daylight and fresh air. Which also, this mesh system also meets all necessary security requirements, sort of making sure people are safe in those areas, but also creating a normative design that integrates each facility into the architectural context of the surrounding neighborhood, which is one of the principal tenets, too, of the borough-based jail program. The outdoor recreation areas include 2 layers of mesh for security and privacy. The inner layer includes an anti-climb mesh up to about 8 feet high, maybe higher than like that. And then another mesh layer that comes to the top, to the deck of the ceiling, which is another approximate 8 feet. Then there's an outer layer of architectural mesh. The inner layer is intended to prevent climbing and contraband exchange, while the outer layer spans the full height of the space and is to limit the visibility into the recreation areas, protecting the privacy of the individuals, but also the privacy of folks in the neighborhood. The two-layer system has been carefully designed to be as minimally visually obtrusive as possible, while still prioritizing the safety of our individuals in our care and providing adequate security coverage. I'll answer any questions you might have.
The first thing that comes to mind after talking about heat and lack of outdoor space with shade, is any air going to be able to go through all of those different meshes? And what will happen in the summers in the future? I mean, when people need to get fresh air and some greenery.
Absolutely. To be clear, this is a mesh system. So essentially, there is no glazing or anything that would prevent the access to air. It's a fresh air system. When it's cold outside, it'll be cold in these spaces. When it's hot outside, it will be hot. And so open to the elements.
Thank you.
And I would also encourage you to come see Bellevue Hospital Outposted Unit if you have not been already. The design, the outdoor recreation space there is very similar to what you would see in the Borough-based jail facility. Sure.
So there's 2 layers of mesh for half of the plan. There's 1 layer stops once you get up to 8 feet or so. Is that my understanding?
I apologize, I probably wasn't very clear. So from floor to ceiling, it's about 18 feet. About 8 feet goes up, it's anti-climb mesh, so that individuals can't climb up. Then there's another layer of mesh that kind of connects to that. That's that first layer. So the first layer is actually made up of 2 parts. The outer layer is that architectural mesh that you would see from the outside of the building and on the exterior. No. I apologize if I'm fumbling it.
Our understanding was that there had been a discussion about the clean, where some of the mesh was going to stop after about 7 or 8 to enhance light and fresh air above where there was privacy. And we were under the impression that that was not the plan in Manhattan. That in Manhattan, double layer of mesh was going to continue all the way to the ceiling for cosmetic reasons, which seemed like it didn't make a lot of sense given that we has fresh air and sunlight. So I just wanted to try to sort of clarify that question and whether there was a discrepancy between the 2 boroughs.
Sure. Yeah, I think there might have been a miscommunication. There's always been, in all 4 facilities, been this design of 2 layers of mesh. What may have been miscommunicated is that the initial layer, that anti-climb layer from the floor to about 8 feet, that's a tighter mesh, right? It prevents individuals from climbing. Above that, from the 8 feet to the rest of the ceiling, is a more open mesh. So that allows additional sunlight and additional air in. And that was very important in the design to ensure that from the top, at least for those 8 feet to the ceiling, that we would allow that space. But again, there's no glazing, and so it's fresh air coming in and out. It's just a tighter weave, more open weave.
Got it. And so the open weave will be for all of the borough-based jail facilities from that 8 feet to ceiling height.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, and we hope you'll come see Bellevue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've seen the pictures and it looks beautiful. Now we're going to hear updates from CHS. I'm sorry, it's actually a joint update between CSH and Corrections on the new Outpost therapeutic units.
That's why I didn't see it.
Good
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi. Congratulations. And thank you, Jasmine. Patsy Yang, I forget who I am, Senior Vice President of Health and Hospitals for Correctional Health Services. We are delighted, really delighted, both of us, to be standing here to tell you that Bellevue opened. The official announcement was April 7th. Our first patients moved in April 8th. We are working hand in glove with obviously with one another, but with the state commission, who's still on the site, and has been very closely reviewing and observing the transfers in, all the operational procedures, everything about it, and allowing us to open house by house. We brought more patients in today. There's a plan to move more over the successive week or so until we fill the last 2 units. I think the census right now is 72 or 3 people out of the 104 beds. This has been a project that has been waiting for a very, very long time. It came out of realization back in 2016 when Correctional Health Services came over to Health and Hospitals, and realized that not only were our patients, our most medically involved patients, declining what could be life-saving treatment because of that arduous journey round trip between Rikers and Bellevue, that they were actually declining what could be life-saving care. But it was also leading to a cycling of patients and a prolonged stay in jail. This is hand in glove with another project that Commissioner Richards, in his just preceding capability and capacity, helped us also under Mayor Mamdani launch, which was the Just Home Project, our supportive housing up in the Bronx. These will be for the same people who are homeless with medically involved conditions once their criminal charges get adjudicated. So these are the same people who you knew as really being in NYC in the infirmary. These are men moving to the Bellevue outposted beds until their legal cases are resolved. And for those who are unhoused at that point in time, hopefully they can get a studio apartment up in the Bronx and we can break that cycle. So that's really the dream. And thanks to where there's a will, there's a way, and that is being proven. I think that's it that we are going to do.
I think also I want to acknowledge that, like I think the commissioner mentioned this of having too many pet projects or pilot projects. I mean, you have stick and fought for this since 2016. Thank you.
10 years and counting. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And it really is with the department, not only finding a way to get this done and open it, but it really is, I know many of you have come to Bellevue to look, and it's not just the color, the light, the material on the walls, on the floors, on the ceilings, the visuals, the sensory cushioning, the sort of the sensory assaults that you get, the noise, the light, the eyes, the smell, all of it on Rikers is not repeated here. It lends to a very different environment. But so it's not just the design, it's not just the construction, it's also the services that we provide and the access that CHS will have, but the programming that DOC is bringing in. I know some of you who've worked with us for a long time have hoped for a level of programming in the therapeutic units themselves that has not been seen before, and that is a richness that's being provided to some of our most our patients who could benefit most.
Thank you. And again, I think you are highlighting something that we do talk a lot about the board, and it's about spaces and what they communicate. And it's not like you creating a space. I haven't been, I know others have, that communicates that, staff and people who are there are welcome to thrive and grow. That's not the environment we find in other places.
Yeah, I think even in the short time that it's been open, and I'm going to let the commissioner talk, the feeling of the place and the sense of the expectation and the expectations of behavior and how we conduct ourselves and provide care and services is different. And I think that's the difference.
Yeah, no, this has been amazing, but I want to acknowledge the team that really made this happen. This is where when you come together and you don't have to convince each other that doing this particular thing is the right thing to do, where you can focus on that North Star about getting it done, that's what happened. And we did it with Correctional Health Services, at the table where we went through this phase model. They had to figure out how to staff Bellevue, but also how to staff NIC, because we still got people in NIC. And as opposed to saying we can't do it, they did it. The department where we needed 130 officers to staff Bellevue before we closed NIC, and we opened it up to our officers, we have 400 officers apply for Bellevue. That gave us the opportunity to open up Bellevue and still operate NIC. When we needed SCOC to approve each housing area, they was coming down almost daily to make sure that they could give us the yes on open up housing areas. And we met weekly as a team. That's what partnership looks like. That's what it took to open up Bellevue. That's what it will take for the borough-based jails. That's what it's going to take for the other outposted beds. So I just want to thank my colleagues, Patsy and Chair Canty, and I want to thank the Chief of Department for her management of the personnel to make that happen. I want to thank Alex for her steadfast commitment to making it get to yes. I said, you know, how do we get to yes? And she got us to yes. So I want to thank all of those folks because it really took that level of collaboration and partnership to make it happen, and just want to acknowledge that publicly. So thank you.
Now I have to acknowledge publicly. Sorry. Also, the correctional health folks and the people at facilities at health and hospitals. It has not been an easy or smooth ride, but it has been a partnership throughout. Sometimes with more bumps and detours than not. But you folks didn't give up, so that's why we're here. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a couple of questions about this. So I think Nick is not closed. Nick is open.
It will be closed by the end of June. Once we open up the last two houses and transfer the remaining people into Bellevue, we're going to be closing the NIC and the annex.
And so in terms of sort of census and where people with medical needs are going, my understanding is that not everyone who was in NIC with medical needs is able to go to Bellevue. Where are those folks being transferred to?
Correct. Thanks. So some people, and it's not because of their clinical needs, it's because of the physical structure of the facility, the plant, that there are some people, the ADA dorm, where people just need accommodation, physical plant accommodation, not medical need. DOC has been very rapidly, quickly moving to create a comparable place on Rikers for those people. These are not medical folks, these are accommodations. And Zach, Dr. Rosner is going to do a presentation imminently about the other thing that we came up with, which was the people who were in the annex, who were in the infirmary per se, are the ones who are really going to, including that PACE unit that was for comorbidity, are going to Bellevue. Because of the closure of NIC in NIC, Maine, there were also people who don't need an outposted bed, but because of the physical structure, the layout of NIC, Maine, the proximity to nursing, the station, was right there. And what we realized we were losing, and going to the more ubiquitous, where's a clinic versus where's the housing area, that we were losing that. And we didn't want to. For a group of people who don't need outposted care, it's not a medical thing, it is a therapeutic housing area in that CHS is identifying people who would be eligible to be there. Just gives us more immediate access to our nurses and our doctors. That's what we did. So we have created that. It is in the continuum of care. And that's where many folks moved over, mostly Maine.
We opened up in RMC, Rosenham Singer, one housing unit. I think, is it RMC? So RMC, Rosenham Singer, and West Facility. So RMC, Rosem Singer, but they're going into West facility. We did some work on West facility, and they should be moving in by the end of the week.
That's where the ADA is going to be in West.
Not in CDU.
No, not CDU.
I think we have a lot of questions about this that may be better to give you guys in writing and would be helpful to be able to share with the answers. So
That's great.
Do that after.
Mhm.
And congratulations on this. The facility is beautiful. Several times and
Yeah.
really feels like being and very excited to hear about things.
Thank you.
Thank you. And CHS, who's going to respond to the death recommendations? Oh. It's Patsy. Okay. Patsy, there's a video we're going to show? Okay.
The North Infirmary Command, where people in our care who are medically complex are cared for.
One of the oldest buildings on Rikers Island, the North Infirmary Command, dating back to the 1930s.
These would be people who don't need to be hospitalized, but generally, for example, have chronic medical conditions that require closer monitoring and observation.
An adjacent building, a former garage where vehicles were once repaired, is the infirmary, where some of the most chronically ill detainees on Rikers Island are housed. After decades, New York One has learned this facility is closing in June.
The plan is to move, as Dr. Yang said, move the care in a hospital setting and to decommission this facility. All right, we are here.
This is what will replace it.
There's 7 housing units.
The entire second floor of Bellevue Hospital in Manhattan, and a decade in the making. First announced by former Mayor Bill de Blasio, it's called the Outposted Therapeutic Housing Unit at NYC Health and Hospitals Bellevue, which will house more than 100 detainees. New York One got an exclusive first look ahead of its opening on Wednesday.
What this does here is, rather than build a therapeutic space within a jail, it's within a therapeutic place.
No doubt, the differences are clear.
This is a private room compared to the dorm.
There are open dorm rooms with hospital beds with natural light, private rooms, a physical therapy room, outdoor recreation space, ophthalmology, and more.
Just by that green light indicates that the door is locked.
It was not an easy or cheap road to get here.
Why? Why did it take so long? Awkward silence.
I can't speak to the why, but I can speak to the now. Mayor Mamdani is committed to closing Rikers, building the borough-based jails, and this is an example to all New Yorkers. When you have leadership in City Hall that understands the work ahead is about dignity for all, this is what it looks like.
It is also, I have to say, leadership at the Department of Correction under Commissioner Richards, who sees this not as a therapeutic unit that's on the health issue side and not a security correction side. It is care and custody of everybody who's in New York City here.
Officials say this unit was delayed for years by the Adams administration, who often cited security concerns with its design. It was substantially finished in January 2025, but it would not open for 14 months.
It can't open without adequate staff to make sure that the units run properly, that everybody is safe, and that's a critical piece.
The delay led to costs climbing. The original price tag for this Bellevue unit, $130 million. That has grown to $241 million. 2 more of these units will be built at other hospitals in the Bronx and in Brooklyn.
The partnership that we pulled together to get to yes, to open in Bellevue, is how this administration is going to be leading in the future.
Courtney Gross, New York One.
Thank you. So now CSS responses to BOC death report recommendation.
The report, the death report did make a recommendation to Correctional Health Services about the importance of our response team staying with the patient the entire time. There were a few minutes gap where the physician was going off and getting some information, and the nurses went to check on equipment and calling 911. They were not there even while, so we did remind our staff that even if the patient looks stable and things look under control, that we should keep eyes on. So that's what we have done.
Any questions? Thank you for accepting the recommendations.
Thanks. So I'll, excuse me. Zach Rosner, Chief of Medicine for Correctional Health Services. I think the next agenda item is about the MCH.
The borough, oh.
Medical cohort.
Medical cohort housing. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Yes. Just to reintroduce myself, I'm Zach Rosner, Chief of Medicine for Correctional Health. I'm one of the beneficiaries to all the work that has happened making our new therapeutic housing units. I'll just take a few minutes to briefly update the board about the landscape of therapeutic housing units in Correctional Health Services. And I think we have a few slides to put up there. Okay, thank you. Great. So just to start, I think, next slide, please. So just to note that until recently, the main therapeutic housing units that have been available on Rikers Island included the North Infirmary Command Annex and the Communicable Disease Unit in West Facility, as well as an infirmary in the Women's Jail. The infirmaries were designed primarily to house patients who require on-unit nursing or medical services, while the CDU was designed to house patients who require medical isolation for communicable diseases. Both of these types of medical therapeutic housing units permitted easy access to nurses and medical resources. As Dr. Yang summarized really nicely, the outposted therapeutic housing units at Bellevue Hospital opened on the 8th of April. They're a first of its kind unit in which patients with complex need can get care on the unit from correctional health services providers, and where 104 beds can be close to specialty care within Bellevue Hospital. In addition to greater proximity to the hospital-based specialty services, patients on the outposted also require easy access and close access to on-site nursing and medical care. But with the opening of Outposted, CHS identified an opportunity to enhance the continuum of care for patients who do not require outposted beds, but could still benefit from greater access to nursing and medical care. So these units have an eligibility criteria that include a chronic condition in which increased frequency of medical or nursing contact would benefit the patient. People who are 55 or older and also have chronic medical needs, people with ambulation limitations and active medical illness, as well as patients who may be in an assessment phase or awaiting transfer to the outposted therapeutic housing unit, but may have a temporary barrier while awaiting a bed. These units are not infirmaries or residential medical areas. Treatment is not provided on the unit, but there is close access to a clinic space nearby, as well as nursing care. This can provide both easier access to the clinic space as well as needed check-ins on the unit for CHS staff. Ultimately, CHS determines the eligibility for admission to and discharge from these units, creating a more therapeutic milieu and greater stability. These are important parts of the continuum of care because there are patients who may benefit from more frequent clinical attention that can generally be provided in general population. By creating these units in specific areas where resources are close, CHS staff can deliver proactive services, lessening the demand on the Department of Correction for production of patients. Through MCH, we enable a team of medical and nursing staff to build relationships with patients on a longer-term ongoing basis. And while it's not a step-down or clinical intervention in itself, the structure supports greater continuity and quality of healthcare for some of the more patients with more medical conditions on Rikers. So overall, in terms of looking at which medical units are available for direct transfer onto and discharge off of, prior to Outposted, there were 65 of these available beds in the infirmary, as well as a PACE unit in the infirmary with 12 beds. Post the opening, there are 84 outposted medical beds, as well as 20 outposted PACE beds, with the addition of this managed medical cohort housing on the second floor of the Rosie's 800 building. So welcome to any questions about this continuum of care, and we thank everyone who contributed to opening these units.
Yes, I have a question. Where are these located, or where are you planning to locate them at?
This first 100 beds are located on the second floor of the 800 building in the Rose M. Singer Center, the RESH, referenced often as RESH.
Did you say second floor of the 800 building? You said RESH?
Yeah. Not in cell housing, in the dorm housing of the 800 Rosie's, where elevator access is available.
It's not RESH. RESH is one of the units that are in the 800 building.
The 800 building annex is the other.
Excuse me?
The 800 building annex in the Rose M. Singer. It's not RESH. It's not restricted.
No, it's not. I mean, yeah. Just the 800 building. I got it.
Can I borrow somebody's mic? Very exciting. I'm curious about, some of the clinic non-production issues that have, historically been challenging in other facilities, whether it is possible to sort of use something like this, transiently for someone who may not meet these inclusion criteria, but who may have struggled to get necessary medical care in their facility. How easy is it to sort of transfer patients in and out of a facility like this if they have sort of a transient high needs phase or just an access to care issue that's chronic?
Yeah, I think one of the big benefits to being able to really manage the transfers in and out of these units, which is a structural change, is that we do have that flexibility to make clinical determinations of when someone might benefit from even a short time of observation, because there are certainly patients who maybe aren't doing well, and it can be very hard to tell what is leading to not so much necessarily non-production, but like maybe are they taking medications? Why are they having certain symptoms more frequently? So these areas do provide that flexibility sort of for some assessment period, observe patients.
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. So you said the 800 building at RMSC, right?
The male section of RMSC, yes.
So I'm just a little confused because that's an air-conditioned dorm, so yet you're taking further beds away from women who might be heat sensitive and need to go into an air-conditioned dorm. Was there no other place to put this? Because RMSC is the women's facility, and yet we are consistently losing beds from there.
So this was a male housing area prior to this unit opening, so I'll have to defer to the Department of Correction in terms of the details of that.
DOC?
Good afternoon. So, the population was read at the start of this meeting, right? So that was prior use for male people in our care. And we transitioned it because of the proximity to a clinic. There's a clinic on that second floor, and there is air-conditioned space. And most of this population does, need access to that as well. It didn't displace any of the, female people in our care just for this initiative. We did open Bellevue, which we gained beds, but then, we're looking at moving NYC to decommission that, which, cost us a lot of beds. So, we're trying to maximize efficiency and keep in mind, everybody that's in our care. So that space, was ideal for this need that was created. Hope that answers the question.
No, but it's okay.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, just one quick point of clarification.
Chair Skip. Yeah, this area, as the chief articulated, it's not taking away from the women's facility. 100% of Rosie's RMSC is air conditioned. So we just confirmed that. So this wouldn't be an air conditioned unit that was otherwise being taken away from the female population.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. In terms of thank you. In terms of recreation, will these units attend rec together?
I'll have to, again, for some of the management of the floor, defer to the Department of Correction, but my understanding is all the minimum standards are still met.
That they will get recreation, obviously, not, I don't know if you're asking about with the female population, they wouldn't be mixed in recreation. Okay.
Thank you.
I think the issue that has been raised with men being in Rosie's is that it sometimes impacts the operations for the women. Rosie's was a women's facility. We recognize that and we acknowledge that in trying to address it. And I think the long-term solution is to reduce the population. We have a little over 500 women. We need our community partners and our partners at OCA, which we are engaging, to work to see how we could safely reduce the population. We are at a point where we could do it. We just need to all be pulling in the same direction. But we acknowledge, Rose, I'm saying it right now because there's men in there. I'm in those facilities, I'm touring, and I hear from the women about how they feel having men in those facilities. But the reality of it is, given the structure of our facilities, given the desire to reduce population in closed facilities, Rosie's is the limited place we have where space is available that's functional.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And again, maybe building on the sub-chair, I mean, we would love to hear more about your thinking about how to move women and how to Rikers. And it sounds like, I think you tried it before. And just keep us posted.
There was a question before about heat sensitivity, so I'm happy to answer any questions if those are still there. But the shorter version of it, there is actually a fairly significant list of conditions that can warrant someone being heat sensitive. Many of these are commonly discussed in the community when you hear about sort of taking precautions in high heat periods. Sometimes they're not medical conditions, just older age alone can be a risk for heat-related illness. But being on certain medications, certain types of antipsychotic medications, diuretic medications, heart medications, those things can be things that make you more sensitive to heat. So CHS has a pretty clear criteria. In fact, over the last year, we really automated the system to make sure it's standard across the board, that we have consistent designations, that there's not too much subjectivity in the determination of heat sensitivity, but we still have the ability for individual sort of patient factors to be taken into account by clinicians, and that system has been working well. There's an electronic communication to the Department of Correction, and so we're watching it very closely every year, but that's kind of how the system works overall.
Thank you. We will keep an eye on it.
Okay, thank you.
So now we will hear public comments. And then we will call the names of those signing to come in.
First, we have Christina Johnson, who is a representative from New York State Assemblyman Eddie Gibbs' office. And Ms. Johnson will be followed by Chaplain Dr. Victoria A. Phillips, Dr. V from Jails Action Coalition.
Good afternoon, Board, Commissioner, and everyone else. Thank you for allowing me this time. Today, I want to speak about a subject that affects not only incarcerated individuals, but also our families, communities, economy, and public safety. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. The true purpose of correctional systems should not only be punishment, it should also be rehabilitation transformation, and successful reintegration into society. When we invest in education, rehabilitation, and mental health support for incarcerated individuals, we create safer communities and significantly reduce recidivism. Hundreds of individuals leave prisons and jails each year, many without support, and therefore many return to poverty, unemployment, addiction, untreated mental illness, and homelessness. Because of these barriers, it often leads individuals back into the criminal justice system, creating a high recidivism rate. Recidivism is not just a personal failure, it is often a failure of opportunity and support systems. The prison system has the opportunity to educate incarcerated individuals by changing the system for the betterment of society. Education gives incarcerated individuals job skills, confidence, purpose, and a hope for a future. It helps individuals see themselves as productive members of society rather than defined by their past mistakes. It also builds family relationships, strengthening the bonds of parents and children, husbands and wives. Studies consistently show that incarcerated individuals who participate in educational programs are far less likely to reoffend. Some programs may include GED preparation, vocational training, college courses, financial literacy, and technology and trade certifications. Sing Sing Correctional Facility has been offering college courses through Mercy College through the Hudson Link program. Lives have been changed by this program. There have been times when the facility has suspended the program without warning or explanation. If the system is to rehabilitate, then it cannot give and take. This only creates a sense of unworthiness. One facility may have a college program and another may not. If the incarcerated individual is transferred for any reason to another facility after he and she has started a program not at the new facility, the individual loses out and often feels unworthy and helpless. You must have consistency across the board. All facilities should have programs that promote entrance back into society. There are many benefits for society. Society will see reduced recidivism, stronger families and communities, increased employment, and savings to the taxpayer. When the system rehabilitates incarcerated individuals, many causes of the criminal behavior will and can be addressed. Some programs that support the individual are substance abuse treatments, anger management, life skills training, conflict resolution, parenting classes, and workforce development. People are more than the worst mistake they have made. Rehabilitation creates change, redemption, and accountability. Successful reentry benefits everyone as it makes the individuals employable, and more likely to support their families. It also makes them less likely to create new crimes, building a safer and more stable community. Rehabilitation transforms incarceration from a cycle of punishment into an opportunity for positive change. You must support policies that expand prison education programs, increase access to mental health care, support reentry services, and remove barriers to employment after incarceration. You should encourage partnerships between correctional institutions, schools and colleges, employers, and community organizations. In closing, you have to believe that incarcerated individuals are still human beings with the potential to grow, to learn, and to contribute to society. That education provides opportunity, rehabilitation provides direction, mental health support provides healing, and together, these programs reduce recidivism, strengthen communities, and create safer futures for all. When we invest in rehabilitation instead of hopelessness, we do not just change individual lives, we change entire communities for the better. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Chaplain Dr. Victoria A. Phillips, followed by Ryan Aquaata. I'm so sorry.
Peace and blessings, everyone. I'm Chaplain Dr. Victoria A. Phillips. I just want to say this is such a beautiful meeting. Last month we had a beautiful meeting. Everybody was respectful for the first time in decades. And this meeting just seems to be so much fluff, but I really don't believe it's fluff. I believe in Commissioner Richards. So let me just begin by saying this. Now my phone done turned off. 1 second. I just want to say, I'm speaking for myself today. I've been quietly observing all that has been occurring throughout our city, state, and nation. As our federal administration runs amok, we New Yorkers must do all that we can to hold on to our integrity as we uphold equity and justice for all. So, like the administrations prior to Commissioner Richards' arrival, I've encouraged all parties to collaborate and respect each other throughout the process. That hasn't always worked, but I've encouraged it. And so I've even talked to to a lot of different groups with this regime change, as people have said. And so I want to highlight on the record for even the remediation manager people to talk to people like Chief Caputo. I've come up the ranks, well, I've watched him come up the ranks, and I say that because for true change to occur, you have to speak to people that actually are about change on the inside. And I just also want to add, before I address you, Jasmine, I just also want to add grievance. Over 14 and a half years, I've been testifying on the records in one way or another around grievances, even holding you all accountable when you would send grievances received back to DOC. And I just want to highlight the grievances that were heard today, because even when I was threatened in this room by an officer and your former chair witnessed it, there was no real follow-up. I had to testify 5 times on the record by myself with no support, even one of your board members saying, let it go, before real work was followed up and done about that I had to make sure was followed up and done by that. And I want to point that out, not to bring harm to anybody, but to say this is the season for you, this board, to truly step up. Because we have an amazing commissioner now, but he is still the commissioner of a law enforcement agency that you are supposed to be oversight for. So do not let your love for the brother from a nonprofit cloud your judgment when it comes to accountability in real time. And I say that because you even fell short for the ED. There were times you gave a beautiful send-off for Chair Sampson, but we all know that his reign was not that great. And I was even threatened by him and put into harm's way when he wanted the police to remove me out of here. And that very night, someone died on Rikers because y'all board refused to hear CHS and everybody else that day because DOC had left. And you all know that he did not treat Jasmine the way she was supposed to be treated, nor did he give her respect. And there was fights to even keep her around when he first came. He did a lot of damage and a lot of wrong, and history has to be told correctly. And so, Jasmine, I want to say to you, from one black woman to another black woman, I thank you for standing strong, because riding this wave of justice is not easy. This I know for sure. This I know for a fact. There's been many days I've stood alone when it comes to advocacy, whether I'm helping an officer or someone in the community. So I want to thank you for your integrity. I want to thank you for showing other sisters in this city that regardless of who cares about us, we care about us. And whoever is against us, we will still show up for the people. And wherever you go, I know you're going to be great, because you are a woman of character, and I thank you for your service. Peace and blessings.
Thank you, Dr. V. We truly value your input every single meeting, before, after every meeting. You are a valuable voice, and you are a benefit, and you are an attribute to the board itself. I truly believe that. Thank you. Brian, I'm going to ask you to pronounce your name for me so that I can get it correct.
Good afternoon, board. My name is Ryan Aquata. and thank you for this opportunity to provide public comment today. I used to work at the Fortune Society. Now I work with Freedom Agenda, a member-led project at the Urban Justice Center. And our members are New Yorkers who have been detained on Rikers or who have loved ones who are or have been detained there. Some of our members have lost loved ones to Rikers. And today I'm here to talk about the open air rec units and the borough-based jails that we heard a presentation about today. Our members have been attending the design workshops for the borough jails in each borough where they're being designed. And at the most recent workshop in Queens, they expressed concerns about changes that had been made to the design of the open air rec units. The jail designs in Queens were changed between October 2025 and April 2026. In October, the designs for these rec units showed the outer mesh stopping at 7 feet, and now they extend to the ceiling. And the reasons DOC has given for doing this do not make sense. DOC said that they're trying to achieve uniformity across all 4 of the sites, and that an outer layer of mesh above 7 feet is required in Manhattan and Brooklyn because of privacy concerns for people in custody and people outside because there's residential buildings nearby. However, there are already differences in the designs between the sites based on their different contexts. The Bronx site, for example, is not adjacent to a courthouse. The Brooklyn facility's connection to the court is underground rather than above ground like the other facilities. The exterior designs of each of the facilities all differ significantly. Notably, the Bellevue Outposted Therapeutic Housing Unit does not use this second layer of floor-to-ceiling mesh on the rec units. DOC said this is because Bellevue does not immediately face another residential building. So why shouldn't the same reasoning be applied to the Bronx and Queens? DOC also said that the Public Design Commission was another factor to consider, but realistically, most people on the outside are rarely going to be looking up at these buildings, and we remain concerned that a fairly minor aesthetic difference from the outside could be used as a justification to reduce access to light and air for people on the inside. DOC did confirm that the inner layer of mesh meets the State Commission on Corrections security requirements and that the outer layer of mesh is included at the city's discretion. And given that fact, we asked that the board push DOC to reconsider this design to create more air and light in the open air recreation units in ways that are very clearly possible in the Bronx and Queens, and consider all possible methods to expand access to air and light in recreation areas in Manhattan and Brooklyn. The board must ensure that the borough-based jails maximize air and light for incarcerated people in every way possible, including in the design of these open air recreation spaces. These areas are the only access to fresh air people in custody will have. And if that outer layer of mesh wasn't necessary above 7 feet back in October, it's not necessary now. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Natalie Fiorenzo, followed by Candy, AKA Solitary Survivor.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, and congratulations to Mr. Franco on your new position here with the board. And Jasmine, we are so sorry to see you go. Thank you so much for everything you've done here. I'm not even going to try to follow Dr. B with that. My name is Natalie Fiorenzo, and I'm the Senior Corrections Specialist at New York County Defender Services. It is deeply concerning yet again, but not surprising to see that every time the board publishes a death report, they find that the video footage does not match what is written in the logbooks. It would be really helpful to get further updates from DOC on the electronic logbook system that they discussed at January's board meeting. When can we expect that system to be fully rolled out island-wide? How will you ensure that falsifying logbooks will truly be a thing of the past with the new system? We look forward to hearing more about that soon and hope that the new initiative really is a life-saving measure that we need it to be. Closing NIC is obviously a good thing. It was home to the illegal cages on the 2nd and 3rd floor where PIC were held in inhumane, unlawful solitary conditions for years. Good riddance to that. But despite this triumph, DOC's track record with large infrastructure changes like this typically come with a lack of consideration for operational functionality and basic needs for those in their care. I do appreciate hearing the commissioner say that he's focused on decarceration and pushing stakeholders to do the same. I don't think I've ever heard that come out of DOC, but at the same time, I implore the board to keep a close eye on this transitional period, specifically in Rosie's and island-wide. One note for the new preparedness and resiliency director, please make sure you're not only addressing the heat outside, but not allowing the air conditioners to like freeze a housing unit. If you look back at previous monitoring dashboards, you'll see that sometimes one facility's temperature will read at 90 degrees while another will read at 60 because the ACs are just too high. The goal here needs to be temperate housing areas, not just prevention of overheating. And finally, permissible items. If I missed it, I'm sorry, but I didn't hear it come up today. We haven't been able to send clothing to our clients in over 4 months because of the discrepancies across the island with what's permissible. When families ask what they can send to their loved ones, we have no idea what to tell them. So hopefully we have a firm list on what is island-wide acceptable, like yesterday, immediately. And again, if name brand shoes that cost $100 are the only permissible shoe option, that is not appropriate for the population that DOC is primarily serving. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Next, we have Candy, AKA Solitary Survivor, followed by Michael Klinger. I do not see Candy, so we're going to have Michael Klinger, followed by Christopher Boyle.
Good afternoon. Hear me? So my name is Michael Klinger. I am a jail services attorney with Brooklyn Defenders. Thank you for the opportunity to provide some comment today. First, we join with all of our colleagues in welcoming the newly appointed, though not here today, board member Frank Schneiger, and acknowledging the appointment of interim chair Franco in this new role. And the surprise for us was that we have to say goodbye to the executive director, so thank you so much. We look forward to continuing to work with all of you to keep a sharp focus on the humanity and dignity of everyone in the custody of the city and the care of the department. BDS is pleased to rejoin the collaborative working group on visiting in the city jails, and we commend the department for changes it has made in recent months to the visiting process, both for council visits and for family member visits. As we heard, the inaugural meeting of this working group took place recently. It's already clear that open communication between advocates, family members, and department staff will have and already has had a positive effect for people in custody. So we look forward to working together to ensure continued improvement, not only in the visiting process in the jails, but also to meaningful, I apologize, but culture change, particularly when it comes to the relationships between people in custody, department staff, many advocates and coalitions and volunteers who together make up the broader community of interest. On a separate note, we do want to alert the board to an ongoing concern around phone calls that people in custody place to their attorneys at Brooklyn Defenders and elsewhere. There are times when, consistent with its policies, the department limits a person to no more than 1 call per day for no longer than 6 minutes. This is the case, for example, in ESH Level 1. In Level 1, people lose access to their department-issued tablet if they have one, and they rely on the wall phones where they key in their PIN number and they place their 1 call. If the call connects, even if it immediately disconnects for any reason, like a bad connection or a drop call, that still counts as the 1 daily call. But we understand that the calls to attorneys are not meant to be subject to this limit. That means that even if someone places a call for the full 6 minutes and speaks, for example, to their child, that they should still be able to reach their attorney in a subsequent call. The department determines whether the dialed number of a second call is an attorney number by checking it against the Securus managed do not record list. The problem is that some of the people we represent report dialing a duly registered attorney number and being informed that their call cannot be completed because they've already exceeded their daily limit of calls. In other words, it appears that attorney phone numbers, even though registered with Securus, are not being treated as attorney phone numbers for the purpose of the call limitation. So what we don't know, and we have been unable to determine, despite frequent communication with the department staff, is whether, in addition to improperly denying people access to their attorneys over the phone, Securus and the department are also failing to recognize those attorney numbers for purposes of the do not record list, which is a problem that Securus has presented to the department in the past. So while the department has proposed a $23 million 5-year contract renewal with Securus, which would begin on July 1st of this year, we still have serious concerns about Securus's most basic performance, including its management of the do not record list. And we urge the board to remain vigilant with respect to both access to counsel by phone and attorney-client confidentiality. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher Boyle. And then we'll move to our final commenter on who's present remotely, Kayla Simpson. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Boyle is not here, so Kayla Simpson.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Oh no. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. It's good to be joining you from beyond. I'm Kayla Simpson. I'm a supervisor at the Legal Aid Society's Prisoners' Rights Project. So many changes today. We will miss you, Jasmine, and thank you. I echo Dr. V's comments. We see how hard you've worked to keep a steady hand and at times unsteady water, so we will miss you. And congratulations, Chairman Franco. We look forward to meeting Mr. Schneiger, and welcome. You know, I couldn't agree more with Commissioner Richards that this moment requires both transformative approaches and urgency. He's right. I hope we've made it clear to him and to his team how much we genuinely welcome working with them. And I agree that in order to address issues, we have to be honest about what they are. And it is in that spirit that I wanted to speak about a few agenda items, because this can be a new day. And the good news is that even if it is a new day, it's not a new situation, right? We know so many of the problems, and we already have good leads on solutions for them. So take the heat plan. Of course, it's always helpful to hear policies, and nice to meet you, Mr. Van Pelt. But our conversations here have to be about practices, right? For example, heat experts we've spoken with have made clear that fans do not protect against heat-related illness. And for the last 2 years, our clients have informed us that when ice was distributed, it sometimes meant 1 Dixie cup of ice per adult person. According to clients, unlimited showers are not a reality, nor is it possible for those showers to be cool because of the way that water temperatures are managed. And taking the board's third report about 2025 deaths, of course, it's rife with familiar security issues. But something else that jumps off the pages are the practices and attitudes we've normalized. The Benjamin Monitors reports reveal clogged toilets, terribly unsanitary showers, long unfulfilled work orders. They all have these same refrains. And why? Because we've tolerated them, right? And I hear the commissioner and his team. I hear them that tolerating inhumanity is not what they came here to do. I believe that. And of course, these are complicated and entrenched problems. So of course, not every solution is easy, but there are steps that we can take today, right? Get more people ice, fix the toilets, make people in custody and staff part of the solution in improving these physical spaces while we're forced to use them. Let's figure out how to send the message that we expect more and to give people the support that they need for different tools. And I think the board's role in that is to figure out who can come tell you about practices, not policies, and to have productive conversations in these meetings about those practices. And thank you for the reports. Keep them coming. And one final word, I see I'm almost at time, but just one final word on the Bellevue Outposted units. We are so glad that they're open. We're thrilled. And we echo Dr. Yang's comments about the importance of environment on people's health. We know everyone wants them to succeed. And of course, there are always growing pains in transition, and there are some here. I spoke yesterday to a person there, and he asked me to cordially invite CHS, DOC, and board leadership to the inmate council meetings so that they can tell you what's happening there. They are on Mondays. So if you would please come, and again, we thank everybody for the opportunity to speak. We will miss those who are departing. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair, there are no more comments.
Thank you. So our next order of business is to vote to go into executive session. Will a board member move to enter into executive session to discuss a personnel matter?
So moved. Can we take a slight break before we do that?
Sure. So move, who will second before the break? Members vote? Okay. Thank you. So we're gonna go into executive session. Thank you for your participation today.
What time should we do?
We are back from executive session. We want to end our Board of Corrections meeting. Let's vote to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.